First story. OP is asking if she is a whole for not paying for her husband's kids, which caused him to spend all his savings. For a while now, my husband, John, has been getting more and more angry over little things and generally moody and distant. I had finally had enough and approached him about separation. This conversation led to a big blowout and him revealing the state of his finances. My husband and I have always kept our finances separate. Also, although we call each other husband and wife and had a wedding, we are not actually legally married. This was primarily for inheritance purposes because we each have older children from previous relationships. Anyway, John revealed that he had basically no savings left. All the money he had saved for retirement and for his kids' schooling was gone. Furthermore, he said it was all my fault since he used all his savings to try and keep up with my lifestyle. There was never anything crazy in terms of bills or anything like that, and we always split it all equally. The house we live in I own outright as well, so there wasn't a mortgage payment. However, I have always liked to travel a lot on fairly extravagant vacations. I would invite John and his children to join on trips, but I never made them feel like they had to come. That's why he was expected to pay for himself and for his kids. Except recently, he accepted every invitation. I would also give my kids things he considered extravagant, but I considered normal. So he felt like he had to give similar things to his own kids. John said that with all the spending to keep up his savings, it dwindled very fast. I expressed that I couldn't understand how or why he would spend all he had when he knew he couldn't afford it. He said it was like keeping up with the Joneses, only worse because it was at home, so he couldn't block it out. John thinks since I knew his job, I should have had a basic understanding of his finances and realizes this wasn't a lifestyle he could maintain. That kind thing would have been to offer to pay for the trips and other things instead of dangling them in front of his and his kids' faces. Looking back, I probably could have realized that this spending didn't make sense for his salary, but I wasn't thinking about it. I don't think it was my responsibility to keep his finances in mind here. We had agreed from the beginning to keep our finances separate, so to me, that means paying for things separately. Edit. We do not live in a state with common law marriage. Comments. Sesamo. Info. How old are both of you? And do you have any children together? I'm getting the vibe that y'all are a mature couple and just not communicating very well. OP. I'm 44. He's 53. We don't have any children together. Captain Sensame Croy. NTA John blew through his finances all on his own. And that was because his fragile ego couldn't deal with you having more money than him. Vegetable Cod 2340. Exactly. If he's capable of complaining about it now, one wonders why he couldn't say anything then. There's something so cringeworthy about an adult who is unable to take responsibility for their own choices. Kitten Fabstodes. This wasn't a marriage. These were roommates with benefits. Kooky Today 3172. John should have ended your marriage way earlier. He can't keep up with your lifestyle and would find it horrible and very unfair to subject his children to a life where half of the family goes on fancy vacations regularly and the other stays home. He should have been honest way earlier, before his savings drained and the marriage ended. You should have more awareness of your partner's struggles. How do you share a life with someone and don't realize this? OP. He paid for things without any hint that he was struggling. I assume his attitude changed when things started to get really bad, and I did ask what was wrong. But he would just say things were fine or say he was upset about some little thing like the dishes not being put away. With how things are now, it's hard to talk in the present tense. I loved him. For me, it just feels like it would be wrong for my money and assets to go to anyone other than my kids. For him, well, I don't really need any inheritance, so it just makes the most sense for it to have gone to his children. For restaurants, we've always just taken turns paying. Judgment. NTA. Update. 18 days later. After reading all the comments on my first post, I realized I needed more time to think about things. I also thought that with the situation as it was, it would be best that we spend the holidays apart to avoid controversy. He wasn't a fan of the idea, but I eventually got him to agree to go. Last week, things settled down, so we met up to have a more detailed discussion about the state of his finances. A few more things were revealed. I found out that he had lost his job earlier this year and didn't tell me. He got a new job in October, but he went over 4 months without one while pretending he still had one. During that time, he only got a small amount of money from unemployment, so he started putting everything on his credit cards. His new job doesn't pay as much as his old one, so he hasn't been able to pay more than the minimum towards his debts, which are now substantial. I feel like if he had just brought up all these issues earlier, this could have been avoided, or we could have worked something out. Now I really just feel like I can't trust him. I can't trust him with money, and I can't trust him not to hide things from me. I just can't see him going back and trying to make things work at this point. Since he doesn't have a place to take all their things, I've agreed to store their stuff in my garage until he gets more settled. Which means I won't be able to make as clean of a break as I would like right now. But for the most part, it's over. Comments. We'll see anything. I found out that he had lost his job earlier this year and didn't tell me. He got a new job in October, but he went over 4 months without one, while pretending he still had one. I will never understand this logic. This is an immediate relationship killer, as it should be. I would never be able to trust a partner who went this route. Someone else commented, and I agree. If you can afford it, I'd put their belongings in a storage unit. That way, he doesn't get complacent, and your garage isn't full of junk. Update. 6 weeks later. I liked the suggestion I was given when I last posted about paying for a storage unit for their things for a few months. My ex, however, did not agree to it. He said it would make things too difficult because the closest storage location was too far out of the way. It definitely felt like he was still trying to cling to things. Since I couldn't get a storage unit in his name without his approval, I talked to a friend, who is a lawyer, about the situation. He gave me right away a notice that told him that he had 30 days notice to get their things, or they would be disposed of. After 30 days notice was up, he still had only picked up a few things. I ended up calling his ex and asking her if she or their kids wanted anything before I got rid of it all. Well, they had been left in the complete dark about our relationship being over. My ex had been lying to them, saying I was sick, and then he was sick with COVID, and that's why they hadn't been able to come over. I'm not at all surprised at this point. I figured she didn't know about the rest of it either and told her. She is livid. Especially about the money for their kids' education, since it was part of their divorce agreement. Anyway, the kids all got what they wanted, and I had a charity come and pick up the rest. It feels a lot better now that there is a completely clean break. Yes, I have gotten the locks changed and blocked his number. Since there is no reason for me to have contact with him anymore, this is probably the last time I'll be posting. I think I'm their future. I will probably look for more transparency when it comes to finances in any serious future relationships. With how much he was lying, I can only imagine what else he may have been lying about. Had I known more, I don't think he would have been able to hide things. I am just so grateful and relieved that I was able to protect myself and my children. Comments. Snewwords 4839. I'm glad you called his ex. Well, nice to know he didn't just lie to you. Old Afternoon 2459. It sounds like he's a liar. He lied to you, his ex, his kids, and maybe even himself. It also sounds like he can't accept responsibility for anything, attempts to blame others, and then keeps lying to cover his tracks. Congratulations on not legally marrying this guy. Beulah Pierce. There was no partnership in his eyes, only competition. I'm happy you are able to now move and heal from this nonsense. I hope his kids had no ill will towards you. Second story. OP believed her husband over her grandparents. My husband 20M and I 21F have been living with my grandparents for about 4 months now, just until we could get back on our feet after having lost our main source of income. We quickly both got new jobs, and they are both fantastic. Up until this point, my grandparents and I have always had a great relationship. It's probably the best one in the family. They helped me through a lot. If someone had told me it would be what it is now, I wouldn't have believed them and would have laughed at them. For the past 2 months, things haven't been great between the 4 of us. Obviously, we knew living together would be difficult, but we didn't think it would be this bad. Every one of my uncles and their respective families and my own parents, my siblings, and I have moved back in with them at one point or another. And for the most part, they have all right relationships aside from my own parents and one of my uncles, who both fell out with them. Due to them believing that my husband, who has been diagnosed with ADHD, is lazy and a liar, things haven't been great. We have 3 weeks until we can finally get into our new apartment that's been undergoing renovations. Also, we have a debt we owe them, and they refuse to let us leave until we pay them back. I have tried paying them as much as possible weekly, but half the time, they will only take a specific amount, and it's less than what I can pay them. I'm trying to pay them back as soon as possible, but they are making that difficult. I'm the oldest granddaughter, and have always been the perfect little princess who can do no wrong in their eyes, a title that I do not necessarily love. Due to this unfortunate view of me, they have pinned all of our financial problems on my husband, along with other issues such as our political views, etc. Anything that doesn't line up with what they believe is just my husband's fault in their eyes. My husband has past childhood trauma dealing with severe abuse in all forms. This is a topic that my grandparents seem to love, throwing it into his face. Basically, he's saying, "It's not that bad. Suck it up. You're the man of the house." However, when my own trauma is ever brought up, my mother passed when I was 9. It's Well, you were a kid. You experienced something no kid should ever go through. My husband and I recently got into a couple of arguments while I was at work, and they really upset my husband because they told him that we wouldn't last 10 years married. He's a failure. We made a mistake getting married, etc. I had not, up to that point, ever seen my husband that upset about anything, and we've had a lot of trauma in the past year. So obviously something was said to make him that upset, and those sound like things they would say. My husband has made it very clear that he doesn't want me involved in the arguments due to being worried that my grandparents would possibly go after me, and then we would have other issues. Well, now my grandparents are pissed that I believe my husband over them, claiming that he lied about everything, and that he's just trying to get attention and playing the victim. AITA comments. Love Beach 8. NTA, do you think there's any coincidence that they chose to upset your husband while you were out of their house? No, me neither. Have your husband secretly record all their interactions on his phone or some other hidden device. Once you're out of their house, cut contact with them. What they said to him is beyond horrible. They're the Oz. Edit. It's true. They legally cannot hold you hostage until you repay them a debt. Record their refusals to accept a lesser debt amount as proof, should they try to take you to small claims court or the equivalent where you live. You can then prove that you made a good faith attempt to pay. Document the dates so far that they have refused your money. Nainalani. NTA. But what do you mean by, they refuse to let us leave? Are they holding you prisoners? OP. That's what it feels like. They said it's supposed to teach us responsibility. We pay them back, and then we can leave. No sooner. But they're even making that miserably difficult. Genicillin. They can't force you to stay. Pack your SHT and go. Pay them when you have it. You are adults. It's illegal for them to try to force you to stay. Just leave when the apartment is ready. Judgment. NTA. Update. 3 days later. Okay, so things haven't gotten worse really, but they haven't gotten better either. My grandmother is giving us both the silent treatment, if you can even call it that. She acts like we don't even exist. We're just ghosts. She doesn't acknowledge us at all. I could be talking right to her, standing within 6 feet of her, and she'd still not acknowledge me. That's whatever. It's not really my issue. My husband and I have worked it out so that we can move into our apartment on the 29th of February. We're buying an air mattress and taking our 2 cats with us. Since they're so hell-bent on our bed, not leaving the house until March 9th, we figured we'd just get an air mattress and sleep on that. We'd slowly be moving our stuff out of their house. Mostly just boxes and the stuff that can fit in my sedan, since we don't have the money to rent a U-Haul. Also, due to both of us having to work every day from the 29th to the 9th, we will not be able to move large items, such as the granite top island, couch, recliner, bed, and dresser, until the 9th. But we can get small items, such as boxes and bins, into the apartment throughout that week with the little time we're not at work. We won't have to be around them, and we're still paying them back. We just have to wait 8 days, and as of right now, we work most of those days, so we won't even really have to be around them at all. Thank you for everyone's ideas and support from my previous post. Some have asked about why we have the island, why we have to move it, etc. It was my mom's. She passed away about 12 years ago. It's sentimental due to my not having a ton of things from her. Comments. Street Carrot 7442. You can move your stuff after work and take your bed whenever you want. Your grandparents cannot imprison you or keep your belongings. All of that is illegal and deranged. OP. We are moving most of our belongings in the week before the 9th. Aside from the large items, those are being moved on the 9th. I have a large granite island that takes at least 3 grown men to carry. Unfortunately, I work during the day and my husband works nights. Our schedules overlap, and we can't really move the large stuff without the other's help. Thank you for watching the video. If you are interested in listening to these kinds of stories, we've got more in store for you. Simply subscribe to our channel, hit the like button, and share it with your friends.